another video. This time it's going to be a little bit different. It's a time-lapse video of a recent artwork that I've made of Aang, the Last Airbender. What's special about this video, however, is that I've made this on the iPad, and it's my first ever proper artwork that I've ever made on the new Adobe Illustrator app. Joined here by Hayden today, and we're gonna have a little chat about it. So yeah, it's been a while since you've been in a video of mine.
It has been. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Hey, when was the last video? I think it might have been the merchandise one, maybe?
Is it that long?
I think so. It's been a while. You guys know what Hayden's been up to. Doing his own thing, chilling out.
Posting.
Not posting.
Being irrelevant.
But yes, tell me.
So,
what do you think?
I think it's really cool, like the way that it's all come together and everything. I would have thought that it would have been a cool idea to be able to make the lines a similar color to, say, like the water and stuff. You have like bluish lines, but obviously the thing is, like, you're doing it on iPad, and in doing it on the iPad, that would probably take a long time for you to like select every line and do it.
You're right. Initially, the initial photograph that I gained inspiration from had that concept where like the fire areas were, the outlines were like a dark red, and then the blue was like a dark blue, and it kind of like worked together like that. But as I was going along with this art, I started off with black outlines, and then I just kind of went from there.
Yeah,
Couldn't be bothered.
but it's cool because it, like, the black outlines gives it more of like a cartoony sort of look. So if you're going for that cartoony kind of look, then like the black outlines are perfect.
Yeah, I think it works, and I think on an Instagram post as well, it helps just define like the lines, like in here, so you can just see where everything flows in and out and underneath and that kind of stuff.
What I love about this artwork the most, though, is the way that there's like movement that's conveyed in the water and the fire.
Yeah.
So like, see, you have like the swirls and stuff. I like the way that the lines are used, and also the shading is really nice because the shading is really consistent with the lines as well.
Yeah, that was the hardest and funnest part at the same time, because I was using the pen tool over here. You can actually change the smoothness. So depending on how smooth your pencil tool is, it actually makes it quite easy to create a very like kind of fluid movement, if you know what I mean.
It looks fun.
It is fun, actually. And so that's why it looks a lot cleaner than what it would actually be if it was properly hand drawn.
What do you think about like using the iPad versus using your computer?
Interesting question.
Like the differences and stuff.
Well, because I use mouse and keyboard on my computer, I find that like doing those kind of hand movements that you do with the Apple Pencil, it's almost like impossible. You can't get that fluidity. And so like I usually stick to more geometric designs, because you're like just clicking anchor points around and creating like sharper shapes, which gives it off a different vibe. But with the iPad, you can curve objects and really create like a more hand-drawn look, which I miss, actually, because I used to do that when I used to have a Wacom tablet, and then that broke. So
see, like from the time that I've known you, you've been really into your vectorizing stuff using the computer.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen you do any artwork that's like really flowy and not geometric.
That's true.
I personally actually like, it's not even that I like it more, it's not about that, it's more like it's refreshing to see a different style.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
You can develop that, and then maybe that can turn into something else, turn into something else, turn into something else. You know what I mean?
I think you always have to be able to adapt your style. Like if you find a style that you really like, I think yes, it can be good if you maintain that style from like a consistency point of view. You know, people follow you for that style, and you kind of build a little bit of momentum, like social media wise. But as an artist, I think it's important to be able to adapt your style, like, and try new things, because that's how you grow. I've had multiple clients come to me, and I can show them a variety of different styles that they can pick from that I now can create for them, as opposed to them just having to pick from like one specific style. So
yeah, and because if you pick one specific style and you lock yourself into that, creating art can become kind of stale.
Yeah. And monotonous. Is that how you say it, Liam?
Monotonous.
Monotonous.
What does monotonous mean?
It's like
monotone, so when you're just talking like this.
It's just like flat.
Just boring.
Boring. We're just boring.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like the variety is what gives life to the creativity.
I'll show you.
Oh, that's sick.
So that's what it looks like without any lines.
See, I personally like that better.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Well, the thing is, like, you zoom in, you see all of these
like things. They need to be like.
They need to be cleaned up, and
you just can't be bothered filming it.
I can't be
you?
bothered. Honestly.
How long have you spent doing this?
Probably like 13 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to take me this long. The reason why it took me so long is because on desktop version, you have this thing called the variable width tool, and that allows you to create a stroke. So if we turn this into a stroke, you can click something that makes it go from thin to its thickest point, then to its thinnest point, if you can picture that. Here, it doesn't have that. So to create that look like you see, let's just say like here, you see how it's going like thick, and then it goes down to a singular point.
Yeah.
To create that look, and that's happening all over, like everywhere. Like I've applied that style. To create that, you need to expand the object. You need to create it to an outline, and then you need to grab the eraser, and you have to like manually make it go.
Oh my god.
To a singular.
See, that
point.
would take forever.
So that's why it took me so long. For that reason, and then also shading each individual shape, like just going around and just.
I'm
takes
surprised.
ages.
I'm surprised that Illustrator doesn't have like an option for pen pressure.
They do. I don't
Why
know.
you just do that?
Oh, because then you need to start using your brush tool.
Oh, because it's a different look.
Yeah, and like the pencil tool's cool because it's like it draws a stroke, whereas like the brush tool, like it's a bit weird.
Oh,
This
I
is a
see.
specific brush, but like
Oh, it still works, but I know what you mean. It's like,
it's just not what I was really looking for. I
do
like
you think
how
in hindsight you would use the brush?
maybe. I'm excited to play around with it a lot more. I wanted to try this style because it's something that I knew how to do on desktop. So I applied the same fundamentals to the iPad, and this was the result. But I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of other things that I could explore with the iPad that I wouldn't be able to do on the desktop.
Yeah.
I'll quickly show you the initial drawing. So that's what I drew.
Oh, so
I-
you drew the outline
I
first.
sketched it out. So there was an initial image that I found on Pinterest, and then I was looking at that and drawing the outline in my sketchbook.
And then you took a photo of that and put it into Illustrator.
Put it into Illustrator, and then I started tracing around it.
That's cool.
So you can kind of see where the overlaps are with the hands. I had to fix a few things up. I got quite creative on my own with the water up here and the air. But for the fire, for the most part, you can see where things flow and stuff. So it was the first time that I like drew something out on a sketchbook and then brought it into Illustrator, because that's what you're meant to do as a designer, really. Finding something online, dragging it in and copying that, like it almost loses a bit of its validity. Although you're going to get a really cool image at the end of the day with vector art. You know, if I was to just take a photo of LeBron James or whatever, it lacks that creative sense.
Because it's not like your original.
It's not your original. And so by doing this, even though I gained inspiration or like, you know, copied off the internet, I still had to get creative in my own sense. And if I showed you, and you can tell me what you think in terms of like originality and inspiration. So that there and that there.
Yes.
So you can see where obviously it's done, but it's still like, what do you think?
Well, yeah, no, like obviously they're just like two different styles. That's all there is to really be said about it.
Yeah.
I suppose in the original artwork, you can probably see the wind a little bit more because it's actually stemming outside of the water.
Yep.
The water in the original one, you can tell that it's foam a little bit more. So there's a little bit more contrast between like the water and the foam.
That's a good point.
There's a bit of a glow in the fire down the bottom. See, like those little things make it different, and also the line style and stuff. That's what makes it really different from what you've done, which is like the style that you've gone for is a lot more. I suppose you could say it's more vectorized in the sense of like it looks like you've like put the threshold down and posturized it. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but there's no glows. It's very much just like these are the colors. And it's just very solid looking. So I would say this is more of a solid, definite design. And more cartoony. Whereas this one's probably a little bit more vague in terms of like using like effects and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think this was made in Adobe Illustrator.
It doesn't look like
I
it's
think
made
it
in Illustrator.
might have been Photoshop or something where you can use brushes that like kind of like have opacity and stuff like on the rocks. It's not a clean cut line between each shape. So
that one looks more like it's hand drawn onto like some sort of like, it looks like they've used like a hand drawn like brush or something rather than a pencil.
I agree. I don't know how they did that, but actually thanks for reminding me though, because I do want to add some glows into this.
Okay, interesting.
The other thing that AI on the iPad doesn't have is Gaussian Blur or any sort of blurriness. I'm not sure if that's because it might be a bit too taxing for the software itself. But I'm gonna chuck this into Adobe Illustrator on the computer and add some glows around the eyes, the fire, probably his arrow on his head and stuff, just to give that little oomph.
Yeah,
That oomph.
yeah.
But you're right, actually. Now that I look at it, maybe I should have, like, up here, instead of having the lightest shade of blue, actually made it like white to make it look a bit like whitewash or something.
Potentially, like, and that's all up to you, man.
Yeah, it
But
is what it is.
The thing is, at the end of the day, like, you've got that version and you've got this version.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not like your original concept. You
Mhm.
have, like, sort of copied it in a sense, but, like, it's a different. You've put a different spin on it, and it's your own kind of style.
Oh,
So
yeah, I agree.
when it comes down to originality and stuff, at the end of the day, in my opinion, it just does not matter.
Yeah.
Like, all that matters is, like, did you enjoy the process of making it and, like, doing all of the
Yes.
different things, and did you learn some stuff out of it and stuff?
I did. I learned a lot about just by doing. I came up to Sydney knowing that I wasn't going to have complete access to Adobe Illustrator on a computer, and so I had to adapt. Liam was nice enough to allow me to use his iPad, which I'm very grateful for, and it's given me a great opportunity to step outside my comfort zone, learn a new software, well, like, you know, a new kind of way of the software, because it is very different, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And now I feel a lot more confident to take this traveling, or maybe even purchase one myself and just use it, and I feel competent with it. So,
Feel like you would use that even if you had your computer available?
ooh, that's a good question.
Well, I suppose it depends on what you're going for. Like, if you're going for the flowy kind
Yeah.
of look, then you probably use the iPad.
You know what? You're right. I think now that let's say I have an iPad and a desktop, I wouldn't buy a Wacom, and I would only use my desktop for the geometric stuff, and I would use this for the more hand-drawn, fluid approach.
Yeah.
Which is great because it means that I can create different things whenever I want. That was a great question. He's good at this shit.
So if you were to do it next time, what would you do differently, if there is anything?
Ooh. Well,
I'm stumping you,
Yeah,
aren't I?
you're stumping
Just
me.
throwing questions left, right, and center. You better answer them, boy.
If I was
It's your
to-
YouTube channel.
yeah. If I was to do it next time, honestly, I'll probably do it the same way because this is just how I vectorize.
Yeah.
Like, you do the line work first, then you color everything in. You pick a specific color palette and you work from, like, the middle. I actually found that this base color back here, the blue, that is the whole shape. And then I used these two colors to create the darker areas and these two colors here to create the highlights. So maybe next time, I didn't do that with the fire. I kind of just went around and did it as I went. I'll probably color everything in and then work, like, shadows and highlight way. Maybe that would make things a bit quicker. I'm pretty happy with how I went. Like, I even went to the extent of I went around to a lot of the corners of the intersections and created these little curves here. So if that's not there, you get that sharpness, but once
I
it's
see.
there, it looks a bit more like
Yeah, it's more like flowy.
it's filled in.
Because it also goes with the line work of the filled in, like, shades.
The shading and stuff as well. It just gives, like, a little bit more, a better sense of depth. Now that you've picked up on it, you'll probably be able to see it more sprawled around, like up near his arrow, his ears and stuff. That's not something that you have to do that manually. And so, like, little things like that, I'm pretty happy that I implemented, and so there's not much that I would change.
Yeah, I think that, like, the coolest thing that I think about this photo is the movement that you can create with the lines. Because I also, in photography, my favorite thing to do is create movement, and that's why I have a lot of the particles and that kind of stuff implemented. It's interesting that you can do a similar thing except using Illustrator. It just depends on how you use the lines. Literally, it's like a dance. You're literally like doing a dance, and like you're going around, like, it's like very flowy. That's with this style anyway, and I personally like it because of the movement that it creates.
Sure. Yeah, you got to create some sense of emotion, and it's not easy to create that kind of movement. Like, a lot of the times I'm drawing swirls, I'm drawing shapes, and you look at it and you're like, that just doesn't look right. It needs to look fluid. For example, like, I've created more smaller particles over here because that's the end. But then I've had to try and balance that with the flames on this side as well. And I did that because if I draw a square around this, and I did
that looks cool.
Yeah.
That actually looks cool. Yeah.
I wanted to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
I was looking at the negative space in the top hand corners. How would that look on a post? How would it look if it was printed? You know what I mean? So I try to create some symmetry if you were to just cut it in half, or cut a line straight down the middle.
Yeah, nice. That's sick, bro.
Thank you. Thanks for sitting down and asking me these questions. I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about Illustrator and my thought process behind the artwork. And Hayden's done a great job actually at kind of like picking out those specific questions. But yeah, if you have any other questions in regards to how I made this specific artwork, feel free to shoot me a DM. I answer everybody's replies. If you want to go show it some love, I'll be posting it on my Instagram page @_CKCreative. Yeah, there's still a little bit of work to do, so I'll post the final version now. You can see it on the screen with all of its Gaussian blurs and a potential background. I'm still not sure what the background's going to be. But other than that, it's been really fun learning Adobe Illustrator on the iPad. Thanks for sitting down and talking about
That's
it.
right. Good to be here.
Good to be in Sydney.
Good to be back in a video.
Yeah, we've got one more day in Sydney, which is tomorrow, and we leave that night. It's been a lot of fun. Have you had fun?
I've had a lot of fun, man.
Yeah?
It's been a hectic time.
I'll see you back in Melbourne.
Bye.
Bye.